Hello to everyone and welcome to the latest World number 6 in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. This is the Betting Weekly Extra Time podcast with me, Steve Wyss, and I'm joined by RJ again for another week of let's hopefully get some profitable picks on the show. How are you faring, RJ?
I'm faring pretty well, Steve. Good to be back with you. As you stated, to get a little revenge from last week. I'd say one bad beat, maybe one poor call, but ready. Looking forward to get back on track. Some interesting plays this weekend, and all three of mine happen to be in top division. So, yeah, looking forward to chopping it up with you.
Yeah, the show is plus 0.45 units in profit. I 2 out of 3 winners last week. The old meatloaf came out. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as they say. RJ, I'll take
Never.
that
Yep,
all
absolutely.
day. So hoping to kick on again this weekend, and I reckon I've sucked you in here, RJ. You've got a pick in Sweden. We cannot avoid this team on the World Football Show. I think they've got to mention every single week, maybe bar one. This is Hecken against Elfsborg. Swedish Allsvenskan game, Saturday, the 29th of July. I think it's a 9 a.m. kickoff time, Eastern.
Yep.
And you like the goals in this game, don't you?
I do. Looking at over 3 at minus 110. Hacken on the money line plus 145. Elfsborg plus 170. It's a battle between the top two teams in the Swedish top division, Allsvenskan. Normally, I avoid these matches, but I do have a feeling in this match that Elfsborg exposes Hacken, right? In my opinion. Ben Traore, top scorer in Allsvenskan, has transferred to Sheffield United about 1 week ago. So that is the top scorer in Allsvenskan. He had 12 goals, played for Hacken. He is gone. Hacken have had a jam-packed schedule. They participated in Champions League qualification matches. They played 7 matches in July, 3 matches. I'm sorry, 4 matches over the last week, and they've played every 3 to 4 days since July 12th. So simply a jam-packed schedule. Could be a little bit of fatigue in that lineup. Elfsborg, on the other hand, have been red hot, scoring 16 in their last 5 away matches, while Hacken at home have scored 21 in their last 5 matches. So neither of these sides have had a hard time finding the back of the net. And neither side concede very much. So, like I said, when you look at the standings, I typically do try to avoid the top 2 teams. It's typically a tight, cagey match. But this to me has the making of a back and forth match because of Hacken's cram schedule. Elfsborg sits at the top. They're going to want to say, "All right, let's go. We'll come to your place, Hacken, and we'll put some goals on the board." Right? I think Hacken. They do need all 3 points. They got Malmo on their tail. They actually have the same amount of points, but because of the goals for, the goal differential, and Hacken's played one more match, they sit above Malmo in the table. But again, due to what's at stake in this match, it's still, we're at round 17. So I don't know the exact, but I'd say we're close to 50% through the season, maybe a little bit more. That there's a lot to play for, but it's not a match that I think either side will show up in a reserve state. So simply like the goals here, over 3 at minus 110.
It's usually a good play in both, when Hecken and Elfsborg are involved. I've got to say, Elfsborg were brilliant last week. Demolished Jurgarten away from home 4-0. I was watching that game, and at times I was thinking they're going to be the Allsvenskan champions this season if they keep playing like that. I actually think Elfsborg, you could do worse than backing them on the money line here at plus 180. Elfsborg Hecken are in a bit of a tough spot in the middle of this Champions League run, like you said. Might have other matches on their mind a little bit, might be even a bit tired after travelling to the Faroe Islands. But over 3 goals, that is the selection. The interesting head-to-head here, last season, there was a 4-all draw between the two teams in July 2022. So let's hope exactly this 31st of July, nearly a year ago exactly. So similar result. And you are not going to be complaining, are you, RJ, there?
Absolutely not. That'd be fine, Steve. Early and
I thought it
often.
might be. I'm going to stay in Allsvenskan for the next pick. We're moving to Sunday now, and we're going to IFK Gothenburg against Kalmar. And this is a rare instance where I will tip an under pick on any Bet Rivers show. I have a poor history of unders whenever I do that on here, but I can't get away from under 2.25 goals at minus 105. And the reason for that is because Kalmar have one of the lowest expected goals in the league, about the whole of Allsvenskan, and IFK Gothenburg are not too far behind. Kalmar's XG is less than 1 goal per game, which is somewhat surprising for a side who are in the top 6. They have overachieved in this department, mostly because they do have a striker called Mileta Rajovic, who is quite decent, but he's getting very frustrated recently. He's lacking service. And I think Kalmar are the sort of team who they need to change the style of their play to start creating more bigger chances. And they're going to come here to Gothenburg, and IFK, we've talked about them a bit on this show. I took them to be relegators and outright recently. Since then, they've drawn 2 games. But they really do lack goals themselves. 6 of their 13 goals were scored in 1 match this season. Bear in mind, they've played 16 league games now, so they do desperately lack firepower. So I think there's a really good chance of a 0-0 draw here or a 1-0 win for either team. As a rule, I don't like taking unders, but this just stuck out like a sore thumb to me. The only slight negative is there might be a suspension of the Kalmar goalkeeper, Ricardo Friedrich, who got sent off last week. It might get rescinded though, because I think it was a clear dive against him. I'm not sure whether the disciplinary panel's met yet for that. But even if he is ruled out, IFK just don't create that many opportunities. And Kalmar, I think, will come here. Kalmar are playing in midweek as well on Thursday. We don't know the result of that match at the time of recording. So they might be a bit tired and think, let's just sit back and defend and get a point here. So, under 2.25 goals, which means this bet will cash fully if there's 0 or 1 goal. If there's 2 goals exactly, we'll still win half. And obviously, any more than 2 goals, it will be a loser. And when I'm on under, strange things happen. Goalkeepers start letting balls through their legs. Penalties get awarded. Bad things happen to me, RJ. But I'm going to stick my neck on the block here and take a rare under. So hopefully this is a drab game.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve. I always typically avoid unders. It's not something I look to play, but this does have the makings of a low scoring affair based on the stats, based on recent form. In the last 6 matches, each side have kept a clean sheet in at least 2 of those matches, and Gothenburg at home failed to score more than not, at least 40% in their last 5 matches. A whopping 8 goals for and 4 against in their last 5, and Kalmar 5 scored, 8 against in their last 5. So very low tallies, and I think at worst here we see maybe a 1-1 or 2 goals in some form of fashion. But I like the chances of at least getting half the return here, Steve. So it's a nice little call out.
Yeah, I'm hoping this one doesn't contain many goals. A match that we do want plenty of goals in, though, is we're going to Norway now on Sunday. This is at 11 a.m. Eastern time kickoff. Lillestrom against Ham-Kam, the wonderfully named Ham-Kam. I do love that name. And you like the goals in this fixture?
I do. Unfortunately, top scorer Core Adams got a red in the last match, and the 93rd minute out of all for all sake. So he'll be missing in this event. But nonetheless, Lillestrom are a top 5 home side taking on Ham-Kam, who, all right, let's see, Steve, they've won 3 straight. And I think this was a side that basically a punching bag on the road. And I still think they are, to an extent. But it's interesting to see them pull together 3 wins. Lillestrom are coming off a loss, so that's extra motivation for them to get back on the right track. Before I jump in some stats, as I mentioned, Nigerian Akor Adams, or Core Adams, if you will, is grabbing interest from other teams. I know. I think it was a team in Europe that was looking at a team in England that was looking at him, but now he's been linked to Union Saint Gilloise, if I pronounced that correct, Steve. You got to keep me honest there, but of the Belgian Jupiler League are looking at this this fella. So he's getting hype outside of the top division in Norway. He will be missed, but I still like the contributing factors from other members of this Lillestrom side. I normally, just a quick background, I normally do not base my wagers on one player alone, right? There's 11 people on the field. These are professional players. I do think, obviously, you take the top scorer out of the mix, there's going to be some impact there. But, you know, these are all eager players investing in their career. So, you know, I wouldn't change a wager based on one player missing from a match. But I'm looking at over 3 goals here at minus 112. Lillestrom at home are just under 3 goals for over the last 5 matches, 2.6, while Ham-Kam on the road over the last 6 matches are allowing 3.5 goals. So I do expect Lillestrom to lead the way. I can see them getting 3 goals on their own to get a return here. But it's, you know, it's an interesting match. Lillestrom are a top 6 side. Ham-Kam are 5 points out of the relegation zone with 3 straight wins. So should be a good match.
Yeah, over 3 goals is the pick at, I think it was at minus 107, RJ.
Minus 112.
Minus 112. And I think, to be honest, if Akor Adams was available, this goal line would be at very least 3.25, maybe even at 3.5. He is the top scorer in the Eliteserien. I think he's probably played his last match in this league. He's suspended for 2 games anyway. Yep. And several clubs are linked with him. My own team, Leeds United, are actually linked with him. I think he'd go really well at championship level. Interesting thing I will just mention about Lillestrom. I think they've only kept 2 clean sheets all season. They are surprisingly porous at the back, and you look at some of their players in the squad, and you think they should be doing better, really. So I think Ham-Kam will get on the score sheet here. They have won their last 3 games. They've been a bit lucky in a couple of those fixtures, but they're quite a plucky side, really. They'll give it a go. So yeah, both teams may well contribute, and of course, Lillestrom do have a very, very good striker in the form of Thomas Lennart Olsen, who is a physical beast, really. I wouldn't fancy facing him if I was a defender. So there's plenty of firepower on both teams, and also defensive fragilities. So yeah, over 3 goals at minus 112 for Lillestrom against Ham-Kam. I'm going to stay in the Eliteserien now to the later kickoff that day. This is 1:15 Eastern time. Bodo Glimt against Tromso. And the pick that I've got for this one is over 3.25 goals at minus 105. First against third in the table. A big rivalry here between the 2 most northerly sides in the league. Both clubs are located inside the Arctic Circle. Tromso are the most northerly professional soccer club in the world. An interesting bit of information there for the listeners and the viewers as well. We are now back on YouTube, of course, here on the App Because We Win channel. Do hit that like button and give us a cheeky subscribe as well if you are watching on the YouTube, if you're enjoying it. But yeah, there should be goals here. These 2 sides, just whenever they meet, there's so many goals. The last 3 meetings have actually ended 3-2 to someone. Both teams have scored in the last 5. It just, despite Tromso and Bodo Glimt having the best defenses in the league statistically, I think we can forget that here because they're just going to be going punch for punch, mano a mano. Tromso will be desperate to beat them. I don't really think a draw is good enough for them. And yeah, the goal line I thought was fair enough at 3.25, so I was happy to take the over here. Glimt are in European action. Actually, at the time of recording, they're playing on the pitch right now against Bohemians, but it shouldn't bother them too much here. They are at home. So, and still 3 days recovery shouldn't make too much of a difference. I think the only real danger scoreline is 1-1. a 1-1 draw, really. Or I suppose you could say, because we're on this goal line at 3.25, 2-1, but we'd only lose half there, so I can live with that. Just a couple, 2 or 3 massive prices for those who do like to play big prices. These are not official bets, but I did mention the last 3 meetings have ended 3-2 to someone. 19-1 on Bodo Glimt winning exactly 3-2. 45-1 on Tromso to win by that scoreline. And if you fancied a 3-3 draw, it's 55-1 at Bet Rivers. So, for those who do like, I think Nigel calls it pizza money, whatever, fling a couple of cents at those correct scores if you like a bit of that. But I think overall, this is going to be a very offensive game. Should be plenty of goals at both ends. Over 3.25 goals at -105.
Yeah, it's interesting, Steve. The last 3, I'm looking at that now. That's last 3 have ended 3-2. It's I mean, luck of the draw, or they're just that they like that total. Somebody had some money on that for the 5 goals, but yeah, that should be interesting. Bodo, strong performance against Sandefjord on the road last weekend or earlier this week, 5-2. So yeah, I mean, incredible form. This has the makings of fireworks. I agree with you, Steve.
And let's hope for some more fireworks in the next pick as well. Moving over to Iceland, where you've had some decent success, haven't you, RJ, this season? We've got Vikinger, Reykjavik, the league leaders, against IBV. I think we'll call them.
Yeah.
Vestmannaeyjar is their full name. So take us through this pick, what you've got.
Yeah, so looking at Vikinger Reykjavik versus IBV. Vikinger Reykjavik are the top team in the Iceland top division. Besta Deild Karla is the name of the top division in Iceland. So the deal is Vikinger have already qualified for the championship group, which includes the top 6 teams in the division. There's 12 teams. The bottom 6 are what's called the relegation group, and they'll finish the end of the season. Score difference is a tiebreaker, and then they typically have like a little bit of a playoff between the groups, similar to what some of the other European or Scandinavian leagues do. IBV, however, are still fighting to get into that top group. With all the play for, they're currently 4 points out of that group, so very, very close to getting in there. But because of that, I think it could create an open match here, right? Vikinger should get at least or net 3 themselves, in my opinion. I think IBV will get on the board. Vikinger over this past week played Riga, which is a Latvian team in the Europa Conference League. They've been eliminated from the Europa Conference League. So all eyes ahead on securing the top spot in the title in their domestic league. And I think what we're looking at here, Vikinger. So Iceland, as we talked about a little bit before the show, like the Icelandic league, some leagues have been odd. I think I find that in all summer leagues. I simply think that a lot of it's got to do with rivalries and you look at Valor versus Breidablik, right? Like 2 top sides typically. When they play each other, it's either goals galore or 0-0 type match. I mean, there's kind of no in between. But I think here what we're going to see is just a side who's been completely dominant at home take on a weaker side who have the ambitions to get in that top championship group. And just because Vikinger have qualified for the championship group doesn't mean they're just going to lay an egg and sit there. Like, they're going to keep that momentum going. There is no more conference league for them to focus on. So this is it, right? So they're going to bring everything they have here. This match is on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Vikinger at home have scored at least 2 goals in their last 5 home matches. And, they haven't been too leaky in the back. However, IBV have scored in all but 2 out of their last 8 away matches. Putting up goals against Valor and Breidablik alike. So sides that are typically stingy as well. But this is a good looking match. Over 3 at -128. I probably wouldn't take this at over 3.25. I still think we'd have a good chance to get at least a return here. But I'd rather just play this one safe at over 3 at -128.
Yeah, it's right what you were saying about the Icelandic League recently. I think there was a whole round where every single match went under 2.5 goals, which is highly unusual for Iceland. And quite a few both teams no matches as well. Both teams scoring no. And I actually think it's because people overestimate this league for goals. And there was a massive year. I think it was last season, 73% of matches went over, or something ridiculous. And the norm is not as high as that. So it's I think that's what people got caught out with, thinking that just backing every match blind over. You've got to pick your right spots, haven't you, in any league, RJ? Pick the right spot rather than this blanket backing of overs or the same sort of bet.
You do, Steve. That's the way I approach it. I see people, or you hear people say, "Well, Breidablik historically over the last 3 seasons, they're a goal scoring machine, right?" KI, Klaksvik, and Faroe Islands are typically a goal scoring machine, but it doesn't translate from year to year, right? Personnel changes, and you can't just blind bet a team. Typically, there's very few teams where you could look at and say, all right, this team every time, like PAX in Hungary is a team that I typically target for goals every year. Viking in Norway, because they are pretty consistent, but there's very few of that. And I think you also have to look at globally what's happened to the weather, right? I mean, record highs in Italy and Spain, and even in the United States. The not to get in geography here, but in Miami, the ocean water hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit, right? It's like taking a bath. So you look at this weather around the globe, it is affecting some matches, right? Humans, aren't really susceptible, taking 90 minutes of that heat. So there's a lot of cooling breaks, which could have some impact, I think, on the goal totals. But there's just a lot of weird stuff going on. And nonetheless, I think just recently in Iceland, again, there could be just a week where the matchups are 2 teams that play a similar style or tight defensively and goals weren't gelling. But you look now this week, goals are starting to flow in Iceland a little bit. So, again, just got to pick the spots.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you mentioned about this weather and the really hot conditions can sometimes lead to a lot of goals, or it can lead to 0-0s. And it's really hard to predict which way it's going to go, because players, if the defense is tired, they're going to be lax and concede. But if the offense is tired, then they're going to struggle. So that's where I have an issue with the hot weather games. A lot of breaks come in. You've got VAR as well now. Yeah. You end up with even the first half going to have 6 or 7 minutes of added on time. So that's also something to factor in if you are betting live in running. First and second half, the minutes added on is getting ridiculous as well. But anyway, this is Iceland. Do not get mixed up with the Vikinger Guerti in the Faroe Islands. This is the Icelandic League bet. Vikinger Reykjavik against Vestamenje IBV, as we're going to call them. So that was over 3 goals there for you, RJ, actually last pick of the show. I'm going to finish with a selection in Sweden. Now, this is going to be something that you're going to regularly hear and watch over the next few months. On most of the shows that I'm going to be on, I'm going to have what's called a dog of the week. Steve's dog, if you want to call it that. I was trying to think of a more spicier name like... so I was actually Googling what dogs begin with an SRJ today, but there's nothing really that snaps out. So at the moment, it's Steve's dog of the week. And... this is going to be this is actually an official play on this show. The dog in future will not always necessarily be an official play, but I'm going to Sweden and I'm looking at the Hammarby against Norrköping game. And straight on the nose here, on the money line for Norrköping at plus 300. That is my dog of the week. The reasoning is this. Hammarby, for me, a very, very inconsistent side. From Stockholm, you don't know which version of them are going to show up each week. They can be good, they can be bad, they can be ugly. And those sort of sides, whilst can be difficult to bet on, predicting, there is always potential with them, either backing them or betting against them, because anything's possible. And I think Norrköping are prime for taking 3 points here. They've got a full week of rest. Hammarby are playing tonight in the Europa Conference League. At the time of recording, we don't know the result against FC Twente in Holland. I think that's going to be a tough game for them. Even if they get a good result, they're going to be run ragged. It's going to be a high energy octane game. We know what Dutch teams are like, so they're going to be tired. There's a lot of pressure on them. They're not doing that well this season. Only 9th place, which is poor for them. The manager's under a little bit of, not fire, but criticism for some of his tactics. And I think Norrköping have got the type of players who can take advantage of him. Guys of Victor Lind, Christopher Nyman. They've got 2 or 3 pacey runners from midfield who can counter-attack them. Hammarby will be expected to win this match at home by their fans, and they could be definitely picked up off on the counter-attack. Now, there's no way I would be touching Hammarby at minus 118 on the money line. No way. They might win the game, but that's terrible value. For those who want to be more conservative, you could look at Asian handicaps on Norrköping, plus a half or something. But I think the money line here, plus 300, this is my dog of the week. Straight on the nose for a full unit. And I think there's tremendous value on backing the away team in this game, because let's hope they get a really bad version of Hammarby.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one, Steve. I like your take at the dog of the week, right? There always is that that high value dog play that comes through, and I know you know Sweden very well, so I won't add much to what you said, other than I'll be rooting for the away side here to get it done at that nice price.
Yeah, we need to find when you think of a spicier name for Steve's dog of the week. I don't know. I'll have to put it in the group chat or something and see if someone can come up with something creative and see. But yeah, that is the final show. Sorry, final pick of this show. I think we will hopefully be back for one more World Football show this coming summer. Yep. There's loads of the big leagues are returning soon, and you get ready for some bumper content here on the Because We Win YouTube channel, and also on all your favorite podcast platforms. Do check out the socials. Like I said before, would really appreciate you liking and subscribing to the channel here on YouTube, as it's a new channel, and we'd love to grow it as much as we can. But as always, it was a pleasure, RJ.
Always a pleasure, Steve. Great to be here with you, and appreciate all the viewers, people who responded. I've had a few DMs recently from people just saying, hey, we really like the show that's you and Steve are on. Hope to keep it going. So I really appreciate getting those messages, and any feedback or anything you guys would like to see. I'm sure you know we'd be open to it. So send it our way. And yeah, looking forward to finishing up this summer with you and getting a taste of the big leagues. And I mean, we won't get into it, but Saudi Arabia, that could be a whole nother topic for another day, but a lot of transfers to Saudi Arabia by the day, it seems. So I'm sure we can talk about that at some point.
There is certainly a lot going on. And I also would echo your thoughts. I do get some great messages each week, plenty of interactions on Twitter as well. We appreciate you guys listening. All feedback is, of course, greatly appreciated. And thanks very much for your time, either watching or listening to the Betting Weekly Extra Time podcast, brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. So we'll see you next time, everyone. Take care, RJ, and goodbye.
Thank you.